Oh, these Star Wars talk. I'm a man who's had 2 hours of sleep and one 45-minute nap. Um, so that's why I sound like this. Uh, yeah, yeah. We're having to do it a little bit different this time. Would this be considered a return to form? Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Star Wars, The Edge of Balance, The High Republic. I've fucked up the order of that, but it's fine. Yeah. Hmm. I see. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Hmm. I am not opposed to it in the slightest. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. I was actually thinking about how using both sides of a force is described in the Ronin novel throughout this week, actually. Yeah, and I actually really like how they describe it. Um, the light side produces a lot of external effects on the environment, whereas the dark side produces a lot of like internal. They tend to use it more to like strengthen their bodies, whereas one is like a concentrated beam, another one is typically the light side's a concentrated beam, I think, but the dark side is used in like short bursts. Ah. Hmm. But yeah, that's I would not be opposed to seeing some more stuff set in the like world of Star Wars Ronin.
Well, yeah. I mean, Star Wars Ronin definitely had a very interesting take on the Star Wars universe. I didn't read it as light as being able to use light and dark side at the same time to a degree because they like.
Oh no, they don't use it at the same time. They only use one, and then in certain situations they'll use the
But
other.
you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't read it as, I'm gonna say a very dangerous phrase here.
careful now.
I wouldn't describe it as like Gray Jedi.
No, they're definitely not that. which I don't fucking believe in.
I mean,
Not from
it's a very hot topic issue in the Star Wars community, so
I don't care.
And by hot topic, I mean most of us agree that gray Jedi don't exist, but there are those that want to continue to be like, well, gray Jedi was a term, so therefore they existed. But not in the definitions that most people, and especially not in canon. And in Legends, it was
iffy.
Even more iffy. Like I wasn't going to bring it up because I wasn't going to make a video about it, but someone in the Star Wars community on TikTok, it was multiple videos. So one person made a video talking about how they were like, Grey Jedi didn't exist in Legends or canon. And they like went through the definitions that most people try to pull out and was like, nope. Then another content creator pulled up a video and used the Saga Edition books.
Oh.
And so used the KOTOR campaign guide and the Jedi Academy book, which that one I have physically.
Yeah. I'm a little bit confused. Those.
So they pulled out those books and were like, "See, Grey Jedi right there."
Aren't those?
So I looked at the KOTOR one, which I don't own physically. I had to get that one digitally. And I pulled it up and I was like, no, when you read this, yes, the term Grey Jedi exists as a term, but it's a very loose term, and it's really just to say, oh, these are Jedi who don't agree with the Jedi Council, and we don't really. It's the same thing with the Jedi Code Handbook, the little blue one that you might have seen me have sometimes. That one also uses the same kind of logic of Grey Jedi isn't like, it's not an organization.
Yeah.
And it's not really a form of ideology. It's more of just what people call Jedi who don't listen to the Council. And even then, they're like, it's a very loose term, and we sometimes don't even use it all the time.
Yeah.
It's just a term that we've heard thrown around. So even in Legends and in the universe of Star Wars, they're like, yeah, even within universe, we don't really care for this term.
Yeah.
So there's
I
that.
didn't mean to bring up this. I was just thinking about.
But I also find it funny though. Like, no. But yeah, the way they describe the Force in the Ronin verse is very different though.
Yeah.
It's more like, because you have the white hot, or what do they call it?
That's one of the descriptions. I don't remember if that one's for the.
The problem, the thing is, like, the names don't match. There's not a purely light or purely dark in the Ronin verse the way it's described, anyways, which is something that the author has commented on. Emma, she's been very vocal of. The Force works similar, but it's different. And so we can't just go, oh, this is obviously light side, this is obviously dark side. And it also makes Grimm a very interesting character, because he's an ex-Sith, and in fact, the ex-head of the Sith.
Yeah.
But
he is a bad guy.
But he's arguably
who will never be redeemed.
But he's arguably also not the bad guy.
Yeah.
Because he started the Sith and started a war that ended in tragedy. But his reasoning
was not inherently wrong.
No, his reasoning was that the Jedi were corrupt, or at least presumably. And I think as we've read the novel Ronin, I think it kind of proved that the Jedi kind of in this setting were.
Yeah, most of them were. And the one time he met someone who was like actually going to do something about it, it didn't work out so well.
Yeah. Traveler's Master.
Yeah. They killed that man twice in the space of like 10 minutes.
So yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see this universe come back. I'm glad for more Visions content in general, but to see more of the Ronin verse, I'm kind of happy with. Although I would. So, obviously, last week I was at GCX and at Disney. So I guess I can update a little bit of some stuff that happened at GCX that I didn't get to talk about last time because they hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So I got to meet Alex and Molly from Star Wars Explained. They are about as awesome as you probably imagine.
Okay.
So like, I mean, I don't know how well. Like, you probably heard of Star Wars Explained as a
I've
YouTube
seen
channel.
their work.
Yeah, you've seen Alex's work. He's a great guy. And so we got talking. It was me, them, and then friend of the channel, Sawyerism. We were all drinking and talking about Star Wars, and we talked about a little bit about Visions, and we talked about our favorite episodes because a great way to learn about people is what's your favorite Visions episode, because that really tells a lot about you as a person.
Yeah.
At least that's what we believe, anyways. So, for example, Sawyer's favorite episode is Toby, and she thinks that Toby is very underlooked. I agree, it's underlooked.
Yeah.
It's an underlooked episode. It's a good
I
episode.
will say that out of all of them, Toby is like the most optimistic.
It really is.
Yeah.
But that's also because it's based on like one of the most optimistic anime to ever exist, Astro Boy.
Yeah.
Because it's got that Astro Boy with Mega Man vibes.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's gonna be optimistic. But it is a good episode. For me and for Alex, it was definitely the Ninth Jedi.
Oh yeah.
Because that's the one that like I really want that one as a show, like a full-on show. Just give me a full-on show. But it's also one that I need an episode 2 to see if I really like it, or if I just like like what the first episode presented by itself. Of course, that moment when they pull up with their lightsabers for the first time and they're all red.
It's like,
oh,
I feel real bad for Ethan and the girl's name, because it's like you're mad fucked without the old master that's there.
Yeah, because he kind of did most of the kills.
He carved through them like fucking butter, man.
But yeah, and so we did our listing way back when. So I mean, you're still on the Elder, right? That's still
the Elder is still my favorite.
It's a good episode, so I see why, and it's a good, really in depth, like, this is how the Force kind of works episode, along with like, sure, you can be really powerful in the Force, but age is still gonna catch up to you, because
it doesn't make you.
It doesn't make like. You're gonna get weaker eventually, because that's just life.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we can talk about more in Star Wars news. Taika Waititi has spoken a little bit about his Star Wars movie, and he said that it's going to be original characters and original stories, so getting away from the Skywalker saga.
Thank God. I know that might be a little bit. That might seem a little strange, but I'm like, can we just... I'm curious what's happening at the supermarket down the road.
Well, from the sounds of it, it's going to even be outside of the setting of the main Skywalker saga. The way he's talking about it, it sounds like he wants to really get away.
Yeah.
Maybe his is the Old Republic film that everybody's been kind of wanting. But no, obviously I'm teasing, but yeah, outside of that, not too much other big news. Another excerpt from Shadow of the Sith, but we can kind of skip it this week.
All right.
Because we're getting real close to the book coming out anyways. Like, it's coming out this month.
Oh.
Like, in about 10 days, I want to say.
I see.
So we're cutting to the final count of that. Yeah. No, you're good. So obviously, any other things that we want to talk about with that book have kind of been kind of best be saved for the full episode. So
dark side locations are still dark as fuck.
Yeah.
Someone bring a torch.
Yeah. But I think so, because my audio was out a little bit, I didn't get to fully talk about my trip.
Yeah.
But I had a good time.
Mm.
So at GCX, I definitely want to go back
Yeah.
next year after fully experiencing it now, and I'm gonna try to get us both a chance to go next year
All right.
because we're going next year.
Okay.
It's in August next year,
All right.
so we got time to plan it. Um, and I got to meet the guy who organized it, Kevin. He's really cool.
Yeah.
He also has a podcast
Yeah.
for Star Wars, and that's kind of why Sawyer and Star Wars Explained team and Mark Thompson were there because they got to be guests
Mm.
on the podcast. I'm working on trying to get us a spot on the podcast as well.
All right.
So, because it seemed like fun, and it's definitely a theme that I can work with.
Mm.
Their podcast is called Star Wars and Scotch.
Mm. Oh no, Caleb.
What, you don't think you can handle your Scotch?
No, it's not that. How much do they have?
Oh, they just had the show they did live was only I think they only had a single serving of it, so just
Okay.
nothing too
Good.
crazy.
Good. Because, if it's more than one.
What, you don't think you could take more than one?
No, it's that it would take 3, and then I wouldn't remember the rest of it.
You would just forget the podcast.
Yeah.
You're like you'll be talking to me like the next day. You'll be like, "So did we do the podcast?"
I remember there was a room, and there were like, what, 3 people
Oh,
there?
no. So the live podcast was really good this year.
Yeah.
There was standing room by the end, like by the time like they started the podcast this year.
Oh.
Like they had there was a good crowd. It was really good to see. And so and they managed to sell some people on some of the settings that we like that a lot of people are kind of iffy on.
Yeah. High Republic?
Yeah, High Republic, because there's still people that are holding out.
Why do people not like the High Republic?
Because it's not the Old Republic, and also it's Disney, and I don't want to support the High Republic because it's Disney. That's my impersonation of the people that are
Look,
whining.
Man,
Also,
do you want the new content or not,
Also-
motherfucker?
Also, it's woke. It's so woke because they got transgender
So,
and gay people.
who cares?
Yeah, no, I know. I agree. No, I mean that's why I'm making fun of those people. But yes, but that is the reasons for why people
I
are
see.
avoiding the High Republic, and of course,
Listen, man, if I could sit through one of the sister trilogy
Yeah.
books and enjoy it, it's
oh yeah, the
fine.
Queen, one of the Queen's
Yeah.
books. Yeah. Also, that was a great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good book.
But also and so it becomes, and of course the other excuses are, well, Star Wars Theory told me the book is bad, so it must be bad.
Well,
Even
why
though
don't you
he
fucking read it yourself.
I know.
This is what 3 hours of sleep
No,
does to me.
and it's great because we're on the same page. Like, I'm fully awake and I'm on the same page with you. Like, no, you are right. But yeah. So I mean, and so I got to hear. I was in the back
Yeah.
because I'm not gonna call out the person I was with, but I was with one of Sawyer's friends, and we were sitting in the back. And then I was like, "Oh, since it's Star Wars and Scotch, I'm gonna quickly go grab a because at the convention you could get drinks." So I was like, "I'll go get my own Scotch and come back." And so I had her watch my stuff, and I came back, and she wasn't there. My bag was there, and it's because she moved to the front, but I didn't know that, so I just sat in the
see.
back with a complete stranger. I mean, I would have been sitting with a stranger anyways because I didn't know this person either. But like, it was kind of funny. I was like, she was like, "I'm sorry for abandoning you." I was like, "No, it's good." 'Cause, like, and we didn't have like a way to communicate that she moved. So like, that's on us for not having like a way to do
Yeah.
that. So like, but and then I got to play before that panel. I got to play cards with Mark Thompson actually.
Oh yeah.
Because, so you know how at most conventions they have the little game room where you can
Mhm.
try out board games and card games that, like, say a game store like G&G
Yeah.
might provide. Yeah, they had that, and so we walked. We both happened to walk in, and he picked up this card game, and he was looking at it, and I was watching him, and I'm like, I'm trying to make some connections here and network better
Yeah.
because I suck at networking.
Mm.
I suck at like talking to people that I know are in the network that I want to get part of and being like, hey, we should connect. I suck at that because so I was like, you know what? I need to do it because I need to network while I'm here because there's so many people I got to network with. Because I'll say thanks to Sawyer because Sawyer made the connections first, but then I kind of just latched onto them. Got a connection with Aspire Gaming, and so that was fun. I'm gonna try to get some stuff for Knights of the Republic remake since they're working on that.
All right.
And then we got a connection with. We got our first arc. I talked about that on TikTok.
Yeah.
So we got our first arc. I'm reading Padawan. I'm on chapter 5 already out of the 5 days that I've had it. And so I'm enjoying that without saying too much because got to be careful.
Yeah.
And then we got. I'm reaching out to Star Wars Explained actually because I'm trying to get them on the show, or to be on their show, vice versa. Either way.
All right.
Same thing with Kevin for GCX. I'm trying to figure out being on Star Wars and Scotch because that will be fun. But yeah, before the panel, I sat down next to Mark because I had already talked to him once. The on Saturday.
Yeah.
So and the panel was Sunday. So Saturday I'd already talked to him once because that was where my audio was cut on last week's podcast. I talked about how we got the answers regarding the Markion Marchion and the and Nathema Anathema for Revan. The official answer being both are correct. Just depending on where you are in the Star Wars universe. Depending on your accent.
Wait.
Are you an Eli Vanto in Hick space? Are you a what's his name from Mandalorian? You haven't watched Mandalorian yet.
No.
Are you a space? Are you Space-achusetts? Space Massachusetts with the Boston accent? Are you Thrawn, a little bit more civilized, or you're gonna have different accents.
I'm not.
That's the official answer. There's an unofficial answer, and I did get that, but that's off the record.
I have a tempting thing to do right now with the official answer, and I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna show some restraint.
But yeah, and it's the same reason why Twi'lek and Twi'lek are a thing, because where you're at in the galaxy, you say it differently. And so, but in the case of Markion Road, that is the preferred pronunciation. That is the preferred. So Markion over Marchion, and Nathema over Nathema. And so and so we sat down Sunday, played some cards because we had already chatted a little bit, and I was like, hey, you mind if I join you for this game? And because he was like, yeah, it's 2 players, so we got to play it somehow. So we played. It's called Flux. Yeah. It's an older game, and it's got a lot of sci-fi references, and it's like a goals type game where you're like changing goals constantly and changing the rules as you play. So you have the rules can switch to how many cards you can have in your hand, how many cards you can have on your board, and stuff like that to get your goals. And the goal is always switching, so you want to try to adjust your goal, what's on your board to match the goals. Yeah. And of course, there's cards like, That's No Moon, and that's one of the cards, or 34. Or no, 43, the reference to Hitchhiker's Guide. So the really classic references and stuff like that. And even stuff referencing like I think it's
never mind.
Yeah, even stuff referencing like Starship Troopers and stuff like that. Like it's a fun game. It's an older game, and so I was asking JD about if we actually had a copy because that would be fun to play because I want a copy. Mark got to get that copy for free because as we were walking out,
Yeah.
he was bringing it back and they were like, "Oh, did you like the game?" And he was like, "Yeah." And they were like, because we were both talking about how we both wanted to get the game after trying it, and they were just like, "Yeah, you can have that." And sometimes that's the benefit of trying these games at cons. Is sometimes you'll try a game and if you really like it and you want to get it, you can buy it from them. Or sometimes they'll just give it to you if it's like an older game and an older copy. So
I'm trying to remember. Yeah. Yeah, I went to. I don't recall if I told you this or not, but I think last Friday, it was either Friday or Saturday evening, where my mom, like, asked me, like, on Tuesday, and she's like, "Hey, son, you've never been to a bar. Would you like to go to a bar with me and my friends?" And I'm like, "Sure. Sure, mom."
yeah, let me go out drinking with my mom.
Yeah, I'm like, so we went down to the Electric Piano Bar and Grill to see a comedy show.
Not a bad spot.
Yeah. So I was like, is this really all this bar is? It's like, not, it wasn't bad, but for my first bar, I was like, okay, are they gonna ID me at the door? No.
Because it's also a
Yeah.
restaurant.
Yeah.
So.
I was like, oh. And then I remembered that I look a lot older than I am.
Yeah. And I still got baby face because
Yeah.
this past Tuesday your mom asked how old I was. Everyone's like, no.
Surprised. A lot of my friends and relatives are surprised at like the age gap.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And but I mean it's
you
not
would
that
think
it's
that
not
I am older than you.
Yeah, but it's also
Well,
not it's also not that crazy though, like the age gap
Yeah.
because
It's not
we met at college.
Yeah.
It's not a wild age gap. But also everybody's just like, "What? You're that old? You should be a lot younger." Especially when I shave my face, then it really throws them off. Like a lot of people tend to think I'm closer to 23 to 25 than where I am. So yeah.
So what my thought was initially, damn, this place only has 5 rooms and one of them is just a big fucking open room. And I'm like, there's some stairs in the back. And I'm like, okay. There's like what? Fucking 10 feet of floor space up there? Is this really all that a bar is?
I mean, yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's all it should be. But we saw a comedy show. That was fun.
Yeah. Comedy shows can be great. Yep. We actually got to see a comedy show the Saturday night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that was fun. Because on the Saturday night of GCX, they did a comedy. They called it I forget what they called it, but it was like the late night, like the after hours part of the convention. So we just got to have drinks and listen to a comedy show, and had four comedians.
Yep.
Personally, I think a lot of us thought the last two were the better of the 4. I thought the second one wasn't too bad. I didn't really hear the first one, but the first one apparently there were some jokes that weren't that great. Because I was busy trying to get drinks and also making connections during the time of getting that. Yeah. And so yeah.
Other thing that happened this week is we sat down on Tuesday.
Oh yes. We played Sabacc because I bought a Sabacc deck while I was at Disney, and we got to actually play it. The first round was kind of rough because we were still figuring out the rules, but then we eventually got the hang of it. And oh boy, that was fun. And we had our dyad moment. We officially had a dyad moment.
Yeah. Complete and utter reversal of fortune.
So I had a pure Sabacc. And it was on the last round.
Yep.
And so then we rolled the dice to see what happened. I lost my Sabacc, but you picked it up.
Yep.
And so you had the pure sabak and won that round.
Yeah, I won that round. And then I proceeded to lose every round afterward.
But I got a round after that with the pure sabak. And that was the yeah.
It was fun.
It has now inspired me though. I think I want to do something.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it on air yet.
Yeah, well.
But I talked about it in the Discord. So if you're in the Discord, check that out and let me know what you think, because I am currently getting opinions on it. But I asked JD and Scotty and the Cult Movie Cantina folks what they think, and they seem interested in the idea as well.
Okay.
Nobody answered in the Discord, which doesn't surprise me. Unfortunately, the Discord is dead. As much as I try to get activity going,
Yeah.
but we also don't have mods or anything right now
That's true.
and it's a private Discord, so it's a little harder to get everybody active. But I'm trying. And so so what do you think of the idea without
I
going?
like the idea.
Okay, so
I'll go
would you
first.
participate or would you?
Yeah.
So you'd be a player?
Yeah, I would definitely.
Oh, do you have a character in mind already? Are you coming up with your character?
Does it have to be a new one?
No, it's an original. Well, it's original.
Okay.
Yeah, it's your own. Whatever who you would be in the Star Wars universe.
Okay. Y'all are gonna be the lamest person ever exist.
Okay, so let's move on because otherwise I will give away what this
Yeah,
is.
all right.
I
I think that.
yeah, I think we should talk about.
Yeah.
I think we should talk about our review for this week.
Those motherfuckers.
Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yep.
Let's start from the beginning. So the setting is after the events of the Emergences,
Yes.
after the events of Light of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
We start off with our main protagonist, Lily,
Yeah.
and her master, Arkov, who I immediately called you out on Discord. I was like, oh, I know who your favorite character for this one is, and it's Master Arkov. You never confirmed, by the way.
Yeah. No, I never did, and you'll never know.
But knowing how you feel about Wookiees in
I
Star
like
Wars and Wookiee Jedi,
They're great.
I have a feeling. And I'm going to stick to that gut feeling. But yeah, so we start with Lily kind of having visions.
Yeah.
She's
having a bad day.
She's having and they're currently on the transport from this one planet to Bon Ki. I tried to look up the best pronunciations for it. The closest I could get was Bon Ki with one I. So I assume it would either be something similar to that, or it would be Bon Kai.
That's not how I thought that is pronounced.
Bonchi?
Yeah.
But I'm going with Bon
Welcome to
Ki.
the fucking accents from the galaxy. I'll pronounce everything fucking wrong.
I mean, this is a written media. There is no audio version, so we're all correct until proven wrong.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll just email Mark Thompson and ask him.
What's going on?
We're one of our lights is flickering. It's one of our ring lights. Let me work on that. You go ahead and continue while I fix that.
She's having a bad time, Miss Lily. And she's, like you said, having some rather unfortunate visions. I believe it's a nightmare? Or is that a different bit?
I think that's the same bit.
Okay. And so she's going through it, and she's like, alright, you know what? This is not working. I'm gonna go and talk to Master Arkov. And they have a brief discussion where he's like, yeah, we're gonna take these settlers to Banchi and try and get them all set up. We've got a few people who are already there. There's a temple here. Everything will probably work out. Emphasis
Well,
on...
yeah, and there's already settlers there.
Yeah.
Like, they've already settled before. They're just bringing more people to it.
Because I believe it's the events of Valo have happened?
They have not yet.
Yeah.
They're coming up, and people are excited. They're like, oh, Valo's coming up.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because remember, Vivnia and Nima are really excited, and they're like, we want to go to Valo.
Yeah, the fuckery hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, and so but a lot of people are moving out, and because this is a time of expansion for the Republic and stuff, so we got settlers moving out, and one of them has the I forget his name, but he got not him.
Oh
no, the guy that we'll talk about later. What happens to him? But it's not that guy. The black hair guy.
This is Woodman.
Yeah, Mr. Woodman.
I know that's not his name.
But he's carrying this
this
thing,
little canister,
and it's got seeds for them for the harvest because they're farmers.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, my homeworld, some of my friends gave me this to bring with me.
Yeah.
And so he's holding on to it tightly because
So maybe my suspicions. I'm too suspicious about the Drengir, where I'm like, don't you fucking.
Well, but
like. That was my immediate thought. I was like, you motherfucker.
Well, it wasn't him.
Yeah, I know it's not him, but the Drengir have made me paranoid about anything.
But they did. I guess we'll talk about it. They did come from that canister. Yeah. But he didn't know. He didn't know. That man didn't know. Did not work out for him.
Again, I am right, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. So
it's like your math teacher being like, I don't know how the fuck you got 42 from like 38 plus 5. It's the right answer.
It would be 43, actually.
It would be... Fuck it, I give up.
But anyways, so they get to Banki.
Yeah.
We're gonna be changing pronunciation the whole time.
I'm not even gonna bother with.
And so they get there, and we meet the assortment of characters that we're gonna meet for this. So we meet Vivnia and Nima, who are training with Kieran, who is Lily's apprentice, because Lily is Arkoff's former apprentice. She is a knight now, and so as a knight you tend to get an apprentice, and then usually you become a master after your first apprentice.
Yes.
That's usually how you
generally
become. That's generally how you become a master. Not always the case.
There are a few exceptions.
Sometimes you'll get a trial where they're like, "Oh, we'll make you a master because of that."
Yeah.
For example, currently, as far as we know, Qui-Gon became a master somehow without finishing teaching somebody, because Obi-Wan is his first apprentice within canon.
So...
Well, within canon, Obi-Wan is his first apprentice. In Legends, he's not, but in canon, we don't have Xanatos.
Right.
Whether that's good or bad, that depends on your point of view of Xanatos as a character. But yeah, so we get there, we meet Ruru, who's the Jedi librarian, in charge of helping keep everything straight there at the temple there. But she also helps around the village.
Yeah.
We meet I want to get everybody else's names that are important correct. But we meet Kieran, Lily's apprentice. We meet Vivnia and Nima, who are two Padawans that are there as well.
Yeah.
Or not Padawans, they're younglings that are there. And they're kind of rambunctious, but they're kids. They're kids. We learned that Lily is bad with kids.
Yeah.
Like, Lily tries, but she's like, they're too much for me, is basically the way Lily kind of explains it to Kieran. She's like, I can handle them, but they're just so much to deal with that I don't want to, but I will.
Lily's like, fine, I'll babysit if I have to, but I really don't like it.
And then of course we meet all the people that are actually settling.
Yeah.
So we meet people like I'm pulling up names now. We should go back to the Vision though, because we forgot to mention that the Vision has Stellan in it.
Oh yeah, he shows up.
Because Stellan does show up as a character later in the story, but the Vision is of Stellan. And so we got that. We meet the Doctor, that's on Bunky.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like in charge of making sure everybody's taken care of at the settlement. Um, Dr. Solar,
Solar.
really good doctor,
Mm-hmm.
really friendly. Like,
Yeah.
and he's also like, "Hey, Lily, are you good?" A lot of
Yeah.
the time, because Lily is not. Lily is usually under a lot of stress. Can we talk about Lily's lightsabers?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
Lily's lightsabers are fucking awesome.
They are.
It's the Kanan Jarrus hilt. So it's the old like actual hilt with the like the
Finally.
like the katana hilt. Oh,
Someone who understands the importance of protecting their goddamn fingers.
Yeah, their fingers and their hands.
Sorry. Don't get me wrong, lightsabers are cool, but y'all motherfuckers need to protect your fingers.
Yeah. But it's not the first time we've seen that kind of hilt. Kanan from Rebels has that, but I really like it and like seeing it again. And Lily, of course, has two of them. She is a dual lightsaber fighter.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get the names of all the characters yet, but
No.
we are meeting a lot of them. But when we meet Vivnia and Nima and Kieran, we get to see a training moment.
Yes.
With Lily is training Kieran, of course, and Arkoff is kind of watching over the younglings. And then one of their lightsaber, I think it's Vivnia's lightsaber, goes flying and almost hits Lily, but she catches it.
Yeah.
And
so Master Arkov's like, all right.
This is a good training opportunity for everybody.
Yeah. And so essentially what it boils down to is that Vivnia isn't quite... She's a little bit unnerved. Not necessarily
It's the idea of using a weapon when you're supposed to be peacekeepers.
Yeah.
A very common Star Wars question.
Yeah.
And it's because, well, it's like any other tool. It can be more than just destructive. It can be used for good.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of how you use it and the balance of using it as the tool that it's
one
meant to
of
be.
Those things that, let's face it, the Jedi, despite being peacekeepers, have a pretty violent job.
Yeah. And it's not their
fault.
It's just what's the necessity of bringing peace and balance.
And so that's one of those things where I'm like, no, this is important for them to know.
Yeah. And it's also a good reminder for Lily, who, like, while she gives a lot of the answers, she's still being reminded of these lessons.
Yeah.
Because what we learn about Lily is that her biggest issue is that she's very strict.
Yeah.
And very much by the book. To her own detriment, yeah.
I'm over here like, yeah, no. I'm reading this and I'm like, this seems oddly familiar and I'm not entirely sure I like this.
It seems very familiar to another Jedi that has a show going on right now and how he was as a Padawan. A certain Obi-Wan. He was also very much like that, where he was like, by the book.
It's hard to do things by the book sometimes.
Well, yeah. And so, of course, her lesson is, remembering to kind of keep balance and kind of be willing to... I think it's be willing to bend, or is what Arkoff keeps telling her.
Yeah, he's... Throughout the entire 2 volumes, he's like, you need to change your perspective.
Yeah, have an open perspective, I think, or something like that is what he said.
Literally, you need to
change your perspective, yeah. And then, of course, in Volume 2, we get the need to bend, which is from another great Jedi Master that we'll talk about when we get to Volume 2 info. But yeah, so obviously then disaster strikes.
Yeah.
So Mr. Kuba, that is the man who brought the plants, is found. Actually, before that, he's found just kind of standing there in the middle of the field, kind of just doing nothing and not moving, almost petrified, but not
Yeah.
quite. And so they bring him to Dr. Solar, who checks up on him, and he's like, "No, I'm fine for real." And then the next day, he's not.
It's not.
The next day, he's wood.
Yeah.
He's made of wood.
Mr. Kuba, I know that watering the crops is important, but you don't have to go this far.
And so, they start to investigate.
Yeah.
And the investigation leads the Lily and Kieran to the young. No, they don't take the younglings with them on this one, do they?
I don't.
No, they do.
They do.
They do. So it's Lily, Kieran, and the younglings, and they go to the woods to
Yeah.
search what's going on. Whereas Master Arkoff and Ruru are at the Jedi Temple in the village, keeping an eye on everything there. When the Drengir strike on both fronts,
Yeah.
because it turns out that whatever was in that plant, that all those seeds were Drengir seeds.
Yeah. My friends gave this to me, he said.
And then he became the first victim.
Yep.
We do meet Mr. Zaret earlier.
Yes.
Mr. Zaret's the one that informed them that Mr. Kuba was just standing there.
Yeah.
The first day. So Mr. Zaret will become important.
Mm. He will.
And so, along with DD1,
That's its name.
the droid,
Yeah.
they
I'm like,
go out.
You look kind of familiar.
Yeah, they go with DD1 out to the woods. DD1 is the exploration droid that Ruru has, kind of collecting data for
Yeah.
the forest and kind of mapping out the forest, so that way they don't have to send people out to map
Yeah.
every little thing. They can get most of the data without people, and then any smaller details they can always
Yeah.
send out an actual research team for. And so they get into the fight with the Drengir, and Lily and them send the younglings
Yeah.
back.
Because they're like, it's getting a little bit risky here.
And also, they don't know that the Drengir are also in the village yet, so they're like, go and warn them of the
Yeah.
Drengir.
Yeah, go tell them about this. This seems important.
Unfortunately, by the time they get there, it's all
This already.
yeah. But yeah, and so they end up they end up sending all the village people into the Jedi Temple,
Yeah.
which ends up being a bad idea because there's a Drengir in there. And so the younglings are about ready to sacrifice themselves to save Dr. Solar, and Dr. Solar is like, "No, you're kids. Wait a minute. Just because you're Jedi,
Before you do that,
just because you're
let's see
Jedi."
if there's another option here.
He's like, "Just because you're Jedi doesn't mean that I'm not the adult here who's." And so he's about willing to sacrifice himself, and then Lily comes in and saves them all. The problem is,
How do you
how do you kill a Drengir? Because
with a lightsaber? Because it doesn't work. Actually, it makes the problem worse.
yeah, because they multiply.
Yeah.
They're
they
like
split off by
yeah,
mitosis.
They split off. Yeah, you cut them and they split.
Yeah,
And so
now where there was one Drengir, there's now two.
or 5 or 6.
It depends on how many Drengir you want to deal with on that day.
Yeah.
They don't get smaller either. They stay about the same size.
And so Lily comes up with a plan.
Yeah.
After they evacuate the villagers even further into the temple where it is safe, because they were just in the main room.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, let's put them into like the hall, into the the library where it's extra safe. And put them into the archives.
Yeah.
And that works. And then Lily's like, okay, I think I have a plan of how to deal with this hive mind issue. And so they trick them into coming out into the lake.
Yeah.
Where they burn them?
Yeah. They burn them.
Yeah.
They do the thing. I have been like, you know what plants are weak to? Fire.
But it's like it's with the force.
Yeah, I'm like, I think they burn them. They do some magic, okay? They do space magic.
Yeah.
I think it's fire.
I think, yeah, I am not sure of the specifics of how that worked, but they dealt with it.
Yeah. But
Oh yeah. So yes. Oh yeah. So they put oil canisters
that's what
into
I thought
the lake.
it was.
Yeah, that's right. And then Kieran lights it up, and then,
You know,
and then they use the force to
make
whirlwind it, so that way
so
they
that the force
can't
doesn't
they can't just
walk out of it.
yeah. And that's also when Lily gets another vision of what's going on at Valo.
Great.
Because this whole Dringer thing is happening everywhere. Thankfully,
You know, flamethrowers are great against plants.
thankfully,
I mean, I know
yeah.
you guys are Jedi, and those are kind of destructive weapons.
I mean, but thankfully, off in the High Republic mainline comic, Avar and them are also getting rid of the progenitor as we speak.
Yeah.
So
the
problem solves itself afterwards. And so Stellan comes for a visit, and he's like a week later after all the Valo stuff, and he's like, "Hey, so the good news is Drengir are no longer a problem.
Yeah.
But the Nihil are, and I need Master Arkoff."
Yeah. I need to seal your dad real quick.
And so of course, everybody's pretty confident at the moment about it. And Arkoff is like, "Hey, Lily, you're in charge." And Lily's like, "Wait, what?"
She's like, all right. I feel like there are more qualified people to do this, but sure.
Yeah, like Ruru over there.
Yeah.
But no.
And they're like, no, she's busy doing archive stuff. And it's like, all right.
And also, like, Stellan's like, "I also know your record. You're good.
Don't worry, you're fine.
You've got this."
They also have a brief discussion where they're like, so did using the fire do it, or what? And they're like,
"We think so. We think we killed them before the progenitor stuff."
And they're like, maybe. We don't know.
Yeah. And so they leave.
Yeah.
And after they leave, Lily and Kieran and the Younglings and Ruru are still investigating what happened regarding the Drengir situation and how it started. And they come to the conclusion that yes, somebody put something in the canister that had the seedlings that was needed to plant the Drengir. And they come to the conclusion that, well, if the Drengir and the Nihil were involved on Valo together, that more than likely they were working.
Yeah.
The Nihil were somehow manipulating the Drengir here. We also don't know why people were turning to wood versus becoming food for the Drengir, which is normally the Drengir
That's
MO.
normally how it works. Usually they're like turned into like husks.
Well, no, the husks.
Well,
the husking is for
no,
the
not
nameless.
in that sense. But I mean, like, they turn into like
food husks.
Food husks. Yeah.
And so
they don't normally turn into wood. That's strange.
Yeah, and so they're like, well, we think maybe something on Banki mixed with the Drengir created that result.
Yeah.
And so that's the solution. That's the compromise they come up with. And so, of course, the problem with them investigating is that there is a Nihil among them.
Mm-hmm.
There is a traitor among us, and his name is.
I believe his name is Kuba.
No, Kuba's dead.
Oh well, shit. I guess it's not. What was it? It's not the doctor, is it?
No, it's Mr. It begins with a Z. I just had the name earlier.
It's not.
Hold on. It's the guy who mentioned that Kuba was hurt.
Fuck.
I'm pulling it up. Don't worry. Mr. Zaret.
Zaret.
Mr. Zaret. Mr. Zaret, as we mentioned earlier,
filthy liar.
Yeah, he's a filthy, filthy liar. He is a Nihil.
Yep.
Da da da. And that's how Volume 1 ends.
Yes.
We do get a little short.
A little bonus chapter.
There's a bonus chapter, and it's a cute one.
Yeah.
We learn about the Bankians.
Yeah.
The actual inhabitants of Banki.
Yeah.
They're like a bird.
Natives.
They're like a bird race. They're like about this tall though, and this happens before the Drengir issue. This is they say it's after the initial wave of settlers on Banki.
Yeah.
So
and essentially what happens is some of the settlers are like, "Hey,
Some of our stuff has gone missing.
yeah," they're like, "It's nothing important so
It's just like our
far, but,
silverware and
like,
stuff.
we lost all our spoons.
Where'd our spoons go?
Can you go look into this?"
And so they find this little cave where it turns out the Bonkians live after Vivnia and Nima fall into the traps. Vivnia actually falls into a trap, and Nima gets shot with teeny tiny arrows.
Yeah.
Because once again, we're dealing with tiny bird race. Like, it still hurts, and
Yeah.
it's a little annoying, but it's just like, it's not going to kill you.
It's like if you were shot at
With
like,
toothpicks.
not toothpicks. They're a little bit bigger than that. I would say like the wooden part of a paintbrush,
Oh, yeah.
size wise.
Yeah. And then it was like
Like,
slightly
that wouldn't kill
and
you,
it was
but
like
would
slightly
hurt.
and it was like slightly sharpened, but like
Yeah.
like not enough to like even really sink into your skin.
Yeah, it would be more like fucking ow. It would be like,
But yeah, so it
it'd
was
be like stepping on a Lego.
except a Lego is probably worse.
Probably.
And so they find these bird people and like they don't speak basic
Yeah.
and they could kind of talk in this like chirping and
Yeah.
language. And so they use the force to kind of and drawings to kind of
Yeah.
communicate, because it turns out Nemo's a really good artist.
Yeah.
And Nemo actually designed the little headdress for Vivnia, which
Yeah.
I
Go on.
think they have like childhood crushes on
Oh,
each
yeah,
other,
puppy
Vivnia and
love?
Nemo.
Yeah.
Like the younglings, you can kind of tell they kind of got.
Yeah.
That's more than just good friendship. It's very much like somebody's got a crush on somebody,
Mm.
but I can't place who
Yeah.
because they're both acting like, oh yeah, we're just friends.
Yeah. Alternatively, it may be that they don't have anybody else to hang out with.
That's fair. They're the only ones that are around the same age as
Yeah.
each other.
We
Kier-
don't see
Kieran-
anybody else.
Kieran is the next closest to their age,
Yeah.
but he's like maybe 5 years older.
Because I figure they're like, what, 7 and 8?
7 and 8
probably?
probably, and Kieran's probably
Like
at 13, 14.
14 or 15, maybe?
And then, of course, Lily, I would guess, probably around the same age as...
So she's about, like, what, 22-ish?
Yeah, in her either her late...
Give or take
like,
a year or
like
two?
either her adult
Yeah.
late teens to her early 20s.
Yeah.
She's got to be older than... she has to be older than Vernestra, because Vernestra is defined as the youngest to get a Padawan in the High Republic era so far.
Yeah.
So
if we figure out how old Vernestra
well,
is...
Vernestra is 17 when she
Yeah.
when the test of courage happens,
Okay.
and then 18 for
Yeah,
the rest of
so
the
she would have to be within, like...
18 and 19, 20s,
Yeah.
that range, because Lily looks young.
Yeah, she does.
Um,
But I don't
like
know
she
how
doesn't
much
look
of
like, because she
that-
doesn't look that much older than Kieran.
Yeah. But I don't know how much of that is just the art style.
Yeah.
Because everyone looks young in this one.
Yeah, Stellan looks real, like they made Stellan young looking.
Yeah.
Although
seen
they
that
still gave
man's-
him a little bit of the gray in his hair to kind of give him that look still.
It's that stress creeping in as well.
It's the stress of being a council member and also dealing with Nihil. Also being the face of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Considering, he's working really closely to Lena So at the moment, trying to make sure that the Jedi and the Republic are aligned.
So...
But yeah, so it's a little cute story, and they end up
I'm
communicating with the Bonkians.
A weird thing that... So...
And so basically, the Bonkians don't understand they're stealing.
Yeah.
Because they're
They
like...
don't have a
they-
concept of, like,
Ownership.
personal ownership.
Yeah, yeah. And it's something that they realize. They're like, oh, they don't get that they stole things. The settlers won't like that, but we can kind of...
We can
fix this.
We can... They're like, oh, thank God.
We just made a public space where we can drop things off that the Bonkians can take as they see fit. And the Bonkians feel bad too. They're like,
oh,
we
we'll
didn't know
give it back.
Yeah, here's your spoons. And they're like, no, we don't need them anymore. We just want to make sure that in the future,
for future reference, like, you can only take from this one spot. We'll set a spot out for you.
Their
You
faces are so cute though when
Yeah.
they're like, when they're like, here's your spoon
We
back.
didn't realize.
God, if somebody reads this story and cannot find the Bonkians as like the best part of
A
this,
fucking heartless monster.
you have no soul.
Yeah. So this is not in relation to the Bonkians.
Oh, yeah,
but
go ahead,
rather
go ahead.
as, like, the two volumes as a whole. So far I've seen a lot of, like, the Jedi of the High Republic are definitely very different than the Jedi from the Old Republic and the from, like, the film era.
Mm-hmm.
And, well,
Yeah, 'cause we
the
discussed-
Jedi don't really exist in, like, the original
Yeah, because
trilogy.
we discussed this last week.
This is the way that I'm, like, this is about as close to what I think the Jedi are supposed to be in terms of, like,
Idealistically speaking.
idealistically speaking. This is incredibly close to what I see their ideal as. Because I'm even for the High Republic, I'm like, this is what Jedi are supposed to be. Like, you're not supposed to have to call them in for, like, government raids, but you can.
Like,
What
if
they're
you really need
supposed
to,
kind
yeah.
of be is like, okay, this is a little bit more than, like, our regular town guard. Let's go get them
Yeah.
to, like, help.
And they're also negotiators,
Yeah.
kind of like we see with the Bonkian storyline,
Yeah.
where they're like, we're here to negotiate because we stepped into your place.
Yeah.
You took stuff not knowing that you were stealing, and now we're going to find the middle ground.
Yeah.
And that's what the Jedi are supposed to be.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting seeing that, like you say,
Yeah.
yeah. So do we want to step into volume 2?
I think we have to. We're covering volume 1 and 2 today, right?
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to be a liar.
That would make me a liar,
All right.
to take the John Mulaney quote.
So, volume 2 starts off on a positive note, kind of.
Yeah. So Lily is kind of taking her role.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, she's adjusting to it.
I wouldn't say she's great at her role, but
Yeah.
she's definitely,
She's proficient enough.
yeah, and it's not her fault. There's a lot, like, she's trying to
Yeah.
maintain, where she's like, okay, I got to do this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
How am I gonna fulfill all these roles?
Yeah. And so it becomes incredibly, I think, draining on her.
Yes, and she's trying to live up to what everybody
Yeah.
sees in her, because everybody sees that she can be a good leader.
Yeah.
She, however, is not quite seeing it.
Yeah. Sometimes the weight of expectations are heavier than anticipated.
Yeah. And so, like, it's not, once again, she's doing her best with,
Yeah.
and so she's trying to organize everybody at the farms to be ready for another Nihil attack.
Yeah.
Because she's like, hey, just in case they come back, we should be prepared.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want to say it, but more than likely they'll come back.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to say it out of fear of getting everybody all riled
Yeah,
up.
all scared and such.
Because so far the public image is that the Nihil are defeated.
Yeah.
That's the galactic public image.
But
And so she's trying to avoid
yeah.
that.
Is this before or after
I see you, Haley.
Master?
I see it now. I'm sorry. I didn't have the chat in the best way where I could read it. Now
Oh.
now I can read it now.
What's up?
Oh, just Haley's in the chat.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah, she spelled my name. Okay. So So like the settlers are like, but we also have to deal with our farms.
Yeah, they're like, okay, do we want to deal with
Well, thank you for bringing a friend, Haley.
Hmm.
But yeah, and so
do we want to focus on crops or defense?
ideally both,
Yeah.
but they're like,
If we focus on one, we can get the other done.
and they would rather get the farming done.
Yeah.
The settlers want the farming done because obviously the problem is if we don't get the farming done, we have no food.
Yeah.
And we need food.
Yep.
Because what's the point of defending our home
If we
if
die
we,
of starvation?
If we die of starvation. Which becomes a thing.
Yeah.
It becomes a question that comes up later. Because as she's pondering all these things, well, let's jump to a little bit earlier because we didn't start we skipped a chapter of the start of Volume 2.
Yeah.
Because after Zaret made his call of because Zaret, we learned that Zaret's a traitor at the end of Volume 1, and he calls the Nihil to say, "Hey, we need to bump up our operation because
all right, look, man,
we need to do this attack sooner."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Why? You said the big Jedi left." And he's like, "They're getting too close."
Yeah, he's like, as it turns out, our plant attack made them more suspicious.
Yeah. And so we jump at the start of Volume 2, we actually see No Space.
Yeah.
The good old Nihil No Space.
Mr. Rowe
with Mr.
himself.
Rowe, the Eye, and we also see a few other familiar faces. We see what's his name from High Republic Adventures? It's been so long since we read High Republic Adventures.
Is it the Jedi?
No. I'm talking about the traitor. Zine's friend. Crix. We see Crix, and we see the traitor under Crix, the one who betrays him later. The one that's in that turns out to be the bad guy in our favorite Midnight Horizon. The lady with the big ears. Pulling up Volume 2 right now on my phone. But yeah, so there's a meeting at No Space though with all these people from that we've seen before as well, and kind of a reminder of hey, here's what's going on. Here's Roe's big plan.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you guys want to go commit crime?
Specifically, do you want to destroy Sabata
Krill?
Yeah, Sabata Krill. So we see Crix and Sabata Krill, where Crix of course calls out Sabata because Sabata's like,
what are you, a coward?
Sabata's like, I want to destroy more Jedi temples. And Crix is like, oh, you did such a great job on Takadana. And it's like, well, yeah, Sav Mulligan was there, and that kind of made things difficult.
Oh. Okay.
Because remember, there was the Takodana arc.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to refresh chat.
That was the first time I saw a Savruk.
Yeah, and so Sabata and Crix start their little feud thing, and then the Eye's like, ignore, move on.
Shut the fuck up.
But Zaret is there, and he's informing them, hey, it's time to bump up the plan.
Yeah.
And they're like, the Eye's like, yes. Marchion's like, we are going to destroy all the Jedi temples at basically in this big orchestrated timing of events. I assume specifically just the Outer Rim Jedi temples.
Yeah, presumably.
Because Marchion has basically made claim of the Outer Rim as his territory.
Stay out of the Outer Rim.
Like, he hasn't publicly said it yet because we are not yet.
Yeah.
And also, we get a little bit of the tail end of the plan of making sure that things for what's coming up are going through as planned because Marchion's making sure that the attack for Starlight is also on way. And so after that, then we jump back to Lily and them and all that.
Yeah.
And Sav Maligan shows up.
Yay!
And parks just wherever she wants.
Yep.
Which upsets Lily at first. Lily's like, you can't park there. We have space for that.
It's like ships are for landing pads.
And Sav is like, look, I'm just here because I have to be. Because I'm checking up on you guys.
He's like, she has been like checking up on the Jedi outposts, being like, especially making sure they're there,
making sure that other Jedi temples don't have what happened on Takodana.
Yeah.
And so,
he's like, okay, good, you guys are still here. All right, look, here's the deal. Fucking get ready.
Yeah.
Tighten up, because things are gonna get wild.
Yeah, and so that kind of worries Lily more. Because Lily was kind of actually hoping for the opposite news.
Stress meter's here. The stress meter is like here. It is now gone up to here.
Yeah, because Lily was hoping for the opposite news. Because she even asked Sav, "Hey, you heard any good news?" And Sav's like,
"No,
no."
The opposite, actually.
If you were hoping for good news, no. And so they, you know.
Yeah.
So they double down on getting prepared. And so Sav, Lily, Kieran, Ruru, and the Padawan and the Younglings all have a meeting where they're like, well, actually the Younglings aren't at the meeting, but they all have this meeting where they're like, hey, so Lily, you need to go get Master Arkoff. You need to go to Starlight Beacon, pick up Master Arkoff, bring him back, because we're going to need him.
Yeah.
And Lily's like, but who do I leave in charge? If I do that, I can't do both. Master Arkoff told me to stay here.
And Sav and Kieran are both like, just go, we'll handle it.
Yeah, Sav, Kieran, and Ruru are like, no, you go.
Also take the Younglings with you.
Yeah, take the Younglings with you because they need to go out there. They need to get out.
They need to see something besides Banshee.
And
also, I forget if this is before or after someone's basement explodes. I think it's after.
After the basement explodes. Wait, from when?
Because they're like.
Oh yeah.
bunkers.
That's right. Because Sav shows up. So this meeting is after.
Yeah.
Because this meeting takes place because of that.
Yeah.
So Sav shows up. They have their little discussion of like food and stuff. And Sav brings up, hey. Food is important. We should focus on that because what good is saving people if only for them to die?
That Lily's argument is focus on the food first. Sav's argument is make sure the people are alive so they have a chance.
Well,
to
a little
eat.
bit of both. Like they're both like
They both are trying to get to the end of the same problem from two different routes.
Yeah.
And it is the funniest fucking thing to happen.
And Sav is right though. What's the point of?
Do you remember what Sav does?
I don't remember the specifics.
He's like, all right. They're like, before the Nihil get here, you need to like get these people like trained at the very minimum. And he just she has a box of guns with her.
Oh yeah, she has a bunch of guns.
Opens
and she's like,
the guns and goes, grab one.
Yeah, she's like, hey guys, gun time.
I'm like, okay, I get it.
I mean, it's Star Wars, so they're doing the Seven Samurai thing. Again, Star Wars has done the Seven Samurai a lot, actually. But yeah, they're doing the Seven Samurai thing, but with less samurai, and they're doing the hey, we need to train the villagers to protect themselves.
Yeah. Oh.
Which once again goes into what you agree Jedi should be doing.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, we should be protecting them, but we got to also set them up for success without us.
Yeah.
They should be able to succeed without us in case we aren't here. And so, after a little bit of that training, that's when Mr. Zaret's like, ooh,
all right,
time to bump up that timeline.
We gotta go, man.
Because now there's another Jedi.
Fuck. Another one.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, as Sav is flying in, he sees the ship and he's like, oh, another one.
God damn
Like
Like,
that's an
alright.
actual line he says. He's like, "Oh, another one."
Listen, boss, we gotta hurry the fuck up.
So Zarette knows what's up. He's like, "I'm the only Nihil here. 4 Jedi.
I don't
Ooh,
like my chances.
I should probably start moving things up."
Yeah.
So he goes into like where they're like underground getting.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're mining.
They are building bunkers.
Yeah, they're
That's
building
what they are doing.
bunkers. So they're setting up safety areas.
Yeah.
So he goes into the bunker, and he sets up some bombs.
Yeah.
And he sets them off, and
He sets off. He tries to set off more, but Sav is like.
Sav manages to.
He gets like all but one of them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
God damn it.
Yeah, so she manages to catch one of them.
Yeah.
Whereas, but yeah, they go off, and Zarette gets, a little bit of that ringing in the ear, but that's the cost of
Yeah.
being a space Viking terrorist.
Yep.
So he's like, I'll take that as a win. And that's when the meeting happens, and they're like, look,
alright.
we gotta get some help because obviously there's somebody already
Yeah.
here that's starting things off. So while we're investigating who that is, you need to get
Go-
Master Arkoff.
Yeah. Go to
Starlight Beacon. So this is actually a little bit of tie-in to Star Wars Adventures. There's a lot of tie-ins to Star Wars High Republic Adventures
Yeah.
in this storyline because we get Sav, and then we also get some stuff that we haven't read together yet.
Yeah.
But there's the race scene when they get there. That's actually we get a different perspective of it in High Republic Adventures.
Yeah.
So when Lily, after some convincing, Lily and Vivnia and Ema make their way to Starlight Beacon, where there's a race going on.
Yeah.
Little fun little competition for the Jedi.
Just a little bit of something that's like,
Little-
life or death.
Yeah, something to remind them of the, hey, we're still, having a good time because there's no reason for us to always be afraid.
Yeah.
Especially since we're Jedi. And
It's the Jedi equivalent of like a holiday.
yeah. Well, and it is actually a yearly competition.
Yeah.
So you're right. So they unintentionally join. Well, in the case of Lily, unintentionally join. Vivnia and Nima are like, yeah, let's do it.
They're like, it might actually be easier for us to like.
It might be easier for us to
get
find
where we're
Stellan and
going
Arkoff
if we enter the race.
And so, and Vivnia's like, Lily's like, I guess.
Yeah.
But Lily starts to have fun.
Yeah. And
She's like, I
she
forgot what this
starts to
feels like.
enjoy it, and then she's like, wait a minute, no, I can't.
She's like, I forgot what this felt like.
Yeah.
And so, eventually she does see Stellan and Arkoff, and she stops racing to go talk to them,
Yeah.
while Vivnia and Nima continue, because they're like, and Lily lets them, because she realizes
It's like they
they're just kids.
Yeah.
They deserve this. And so, reports
Children have to have no fun at all in their life.
children can't be children. What?
Oh, let them go have fun. That's fine.
Children acting like kids? Never.
How dare they?
So
What insolence?
So,
It's fine.
so she reports to Stellan and Arkoff, and it's like, so here's everything that's going on.
Yeah. So what should I do? They're like, well, you're on your own.
They're kind of like, you're in charge.
Figure it out.
But
they don't say
they
it.
don't
that
say
way.
it that way. But they like give her the advice of, look, you're in charge. You need to learn to believe in your own whatever decision you make.
Yeah.
You need to learn to accept that those are your decisions, and that it's okay to be wrong.
Yeah.
But you also got to accept that you're in charge, and therefore we can't help you.
Yeah.
It's not that we don't want to help you. We want you to learn, though, to be able to stand on your own.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Lily leaves with that realization. She runs into Zine and Lula.
It's like the briefest of high school reunions that last like 30 seconds.
And it's not even a high school reunion. It's them, they met
It's more like, oh, thank God you're not dead.
Yeah, and they only really knew each other because of the Starlight Beacon induction opening ceremony, and they're like, "Yeah, I ran into you that," and so that's a little fun little Easter egg of
Yeah.
like everybody knowing each other.
I'm like, oh, thank God they're still alive.
Well, this is also
before.
before Midnight Horizon.
Yeah. I was also thinking, I'm like, man, fucking Bell's going through it. That was like an offshoot while I was thinking about stuff. I'm like, damn. It's like, what happened to your first master? He's fucking dead.
Yeah.
What happened to your second master? They're in a coma. What happened to your best friend? I don't fucking know. He's gone.
But so they end up getting. So Lily ends up grabbing the kid, the younglings, and it's like, all right, time to go back.
It's like, all right, look, we gotta go home.
Yeah, it's time to go home. I think I've got a plan.
Yeah.
And Stellan looks at Arkoff afterwards and is like, you're really tough on her. And Arkoff's like, hey, it works though. I expect them to be better than me, and their Padawans to be better than them.
Yeah.
Which is something that yeah, that's gonna break us later. Because so at the start of this volume, Kieran and Lily are when Lily's kind of like hard on herself, Kieran's like, look, it's okay, you're doing your best, and I'm watching you and you're watching me, and that's what matters.
Yeah. We'll get there.
We'll get there. So
like, you're sad about it.
You are angry. I'm sad. You're angry.
Oh.
Gonna
get yours in the fucking.
So
like, we will. I feel comfortable sharing the like Discord conversation that happened at the end of the book.
Yeah.
Like, cause it went from anger to like. I hate the fact that this is what I'm about to say. It went from like that red hot anger to that kind of like cold hatred, where I'm like, oh
yeah,
you better fucking watch yourself.
Yep. And so they
get home and
also the battle is getting ready.
Yeah.
Like the Nihil are ready to start.
Mm-hmm.
So they get home immediately in time for the battle to start.
Yeah.
In fact, the space battle has already started.
Yes.
They have to fight their way onto the surface.
And I remember, what was it? Maybe Vivnia. And she's like, I thought you said ships were for landing pads. And Lily's like, this is an emergency. Who cares?
Yeah, because Lily just lands wherever she could.
Yeah.
Because, we need to just get going.
I feel like with Sam, the thing was like, look, we have a landing pad, and there's not, while it's urgent, you could at least be polite. They get shot down, so that's their excuse.
Yeah, they go through the woods, and like they land in the middle of the forest.
Yeah.
And so it's a race for them to get to the village. Whereas the Nihil are already on the ground, boots on the ground, and everybody's.
It's just chaos.
Yeah, it's just chaos.
As usual.
Eventually,
for a fight with the Nihil.
Yeah, eventually everybody meets up and is like, "All right, we need to get the villagers out of here."
Yeah.
We also need to defend the Jedi Temple and figure out what we're going to do regarding that, because that is the obvious goal of the Nihil, is to destroy that. Because it becomes very obvious very quick what the Nihil are doing. They are trying to destroy the temple while also access the archives, because they're trying to get some information regarding other Jedi secrets. Because that's Markion's other secret goal.
This man fucking hates the Jedi.
And so, we don't know the 100% reason why, but...
Man, he's really got a bone to pick.
And so they decide to split, and they do kind of they have Kieran, Sav, and the younglings kind of go off together. And so Ruru and Lily are kind of clearing out that, along with making sure that and kind of making sure that the temple is ready to just be gone. And basically, at the end of it, they're like, best plan is to just destroy the temple.
Yep, fuck it. That's like one of the things Lily was like, don't we need to like not do that? And they're like, I think this is...
And this comes down to like
in the discussion with Arkoff and Stellan, they're like, look, if you need to, destroy the temple yourself.
because it's a place,
Yeah.
and that's not gonna matter more than the people that we're
Yeah.
defending. We can replace that stuff.
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
can replace a building. You can't replace people.
yeah. Now, of course, the unfortunate part is what knowledge we lost because of the archives being destroyed as well. But
Yeah.
yeah. And so, meanwhile, Sav, the Younglings, and Kieran have made it into the outer parts of the forest with some of the survivors and have managed to get like everybody
Yeah.
kind of somewhere safe-ish away from the main battle.
Yeah.
But there are some Nihil who are harassing Mr. Zaret
And so
outside the ship.
Sav and Kieran split off.
And Kieran, of course, is starting to have that little bit of hatred for the Nihil.
I don't think
Not
it's
quite.
hatred.
It's more of like,
I think it's like that sense of like naive heroism.
oh yeah.
I don't think it's hatred.
He's ready to save because
He's like, my friend is in danger. I better go.
and it's
help
my
them."
job as a Jedi to help people.
Yeah.
So he goes out,
And Sav's like, wait, no, no, don't.
but unfortunately he does.
I'm like, wait, no, you. And there's an instance here where I'm like, couldn't be me, man.
yeah,
Cause it's not even from. As I'm like reading this, I'm like, cause how they have like Mr. Zaret. He pretends to be a hostage.
yeah. Well, on the other hand, there were actual hostages there that
Yeah.
Kieran managed to save, but then he captures one of the Nihil with his lightsaber
Yeah.
to him, and Zaret gets captured
Captured.
by one of the Nihil with the gun to his head, and the Nihil says, "Hey, let go of my buddy, or else I'll shoot this stupid farmer."
Yeah. And
And
my instincts were like, just fucking kill him.
but the problem is, Kieran is trying
Kieran
to.
is a Jedi.
He's a
through and
Jedi
through.
through and through. He is a good example of a Jedi.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the Nihil
Like,
don't play that game.
So I'm over here. If I'm going to like give a comparison, while I have Lily's
think Sav is a-
central
Sav is a-
ideals, I have like Sav's instincts for like.
And I don't think Sav is a bad Jedi.
He's not a bad. She's not a bad Jedi. God damn it! I
No,
did
you're
it
fine.
again.
You're fine.
I'm like, Kieran, come on, man. You could have listened for like 30 more seconds.
Yeah, like Sav's not a bad Jedi for wanting to not save them.
No, that's not what I'm taking issue with.
No.
It's just that my brain. Well, no, I suppose Kieran doesn't know.
Yeah, nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows Zaret is a traitor.
By the way, he's the only one there. There are no actual other hostages.
that's
It's
right.
just Mr.
Yeah.
Zaret. And my initial thing was,
Why are they fighting each other?
not why are they fighting each other? It's like, why? If it's one of those like passive observation things where my brain clicked and I'm like, oh, that's right.
He's a traitor.
Yeah.
Why are they just standing around?
Talking. That's not what Nihil do
Yeah.
when you're a hapless civilian.
Yeah. But of course they walked into this thinking that he was
Yeah.
he was captured.
Yeah.
And also there were ships there and they were like, we need the ships.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to find ways off world.
And
But then Zaret, so he lets go of the Nihil that he's captured, and Zaret gets let go, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you were a dumbass." And then has
by the way,
I'm a Nihil, and we don't even get a chance to he doesn't get a chance to react immediately.
Yep.
Dead.
It's even
It's
worse.
gut wrenching.
Yeah, because it's not only does Lily feel that,
Yeah,
Zaret walks up to him.
like he's a friend,
Yeah,
and then he pulls out the gun, and then
he's like right here. There's no way in hell he could miss.
yeah.
It's like, god damn.
Yeah.
This is one of those see what being a hero gets you moments.
I was talking to our buddy Pep, Element 7,
Yeah.
about this. and we both kind of just came like it's that conclusion of like nothing is sacred in the High Republic.
No.
To use the specifics that we said, let me pull it up. It should be clear. Here's what he said. It should be clear that with every High Republic reading, one must still themselves.
Yeah.
And I said, indeed, if you're feeling comfy, be ready for them to kill someone. Like, the moment you feel comfortable in the High Republic, somebody's gonna die.
Yeah. And me and Tori were also, we had one of the, like, the silly discussions of, like, the zombie apocalypse, and I'm like, I probably wouldn't live that long because I'd fall for the same shit that Kieran did.
Yep.
Because
deep down you want humanity to be better.
I want people to be better, but I have the instinctive realization that, like, I should know better.
Yeah.
But sometimes the idealism will get the better of you.
Yeah. And then so Lily runs across the entire battlefield to get to him.
Yeah.
And this is after they destroyed the Jedi Temple. Everything is secure on that end. Whew, it's got
Lily has... She's like, fuck it, we should just leave.
So gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's the temple is not destroyed at the moment where she goes.
No, you're right. But it is on.
She's like,
that's when they realize, yeah, we need to do that right now.
She's like, we should just leave. And Sav's like,
we still have a mission.
Even if I contemplated for 1,000 years, I would not have the words to comfort you right now.
Yeah. But unfortunately, we still have a task, and we are still Jedi, so we still have to do this.
Go and do our job. Which is destroy the temple ourselves.
And to throw it back, because I referenced it. The reason I referenced it is because later on, so as I said earlier, the whole I'm watching you, you're watching me. When Lily finds Kieran's body, she says, "You died because I wasn't watching you."
Shit. It's fucking knife. I'm so angry. Like,
yeah, there's a certain point.
There's
a certain point where you can only cry so much, and you can only be so angry with the Nihil and what they do.
I want retribution.
Well, we're probably not gonna get it in the next arc, because the next set of books it's 200 years before this, so we ain't getting it yet. But yeah, so they go back to their task, and they do blow up the Jedi Temple after a big battle. Can't remember the fate of Zaret at the moment. I want to say they deal with him.
I think he's dead.
Let me look up.
If he's not, then I don't know how he got away from Sav.
Yeah, because I think Sav caught him.
Yeah.
After he killed Kieran. I'm looking right now. I'm double checking. Sorry, it's still getting to me thinking about it. I think he gets caught. I can't remember if he's killed or not.
Well, if he's caught, I'll accept that too.
But yeah, and so
can't get everything, you know.
Unfortunately, the Nihil did essentially win.
Yeah.
And so the settlers and the Bonkians decide that, hey, we're just gonna go somewhere else,
Yeah.
because we can't live here.
Well, the Bunkins don't actually.
Oh yeah, the Bonkian, but they help. They
Yeah.
help during the battle. They were there when Kieran, unfortunately.
Yes.
And so,
God. He's a good kid.
and so they
So
yeah, they decided, okay, it's time to go to a different planet,
Yep.
live somewhere else. But it's also at this point that we connect things to the Fallen Star. And Midnight Horizon.
Starlight Beacon
Starlight Beacon's fallen,
has fallen.
and Yoda sends off his message of,
It's
hey,
like,
all the Jedi
all
need
the
to
Jedi need to
evacuate to
come
Coruscant,
to Coruscant now.
because I have figured out about the Nameless.
Yeah.
And we got to now regroup and figure out more about the history of
Yeah.
these creatures and what's going on.
It is. Oh, Lily. I think
Lily chooses not to go.
Lily chooses not to go.
Lily, in fact, says that she's staying with the settlers and making. And in fact, I think they changed their mind about leaving Bon Key complete. No.
No, they leave. Lily stays, on the off chance that more Nihil will come there.
Basically, she wants vengeance to
Yeah.
a degree. Yeah.
She's like, I'm not gonna go seek them out,
But if they come,
but if
here,
they come here,
it's fair game.
yeah. I'm like, not the healthiest response, but it's better than other people who have sought revenge in this series. So
Yeah.
And Sav's like, I'm gonna keep touring other Jedi outposts because some of their communications things have been blocked.
Yeah. And so the Doctor and so Dr.
Yeah.
Solar and Ruru are the ones that stay with the settlers and go wherever they're going.
Yeah.
And then the Younglings are sent.
Yeah,
to
they're sent back to
Coruscant.
Coruscant.
And it comes back to the lesson for Lily that because Sav is like, hey,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird for you to not do exactly what the Jedi Council is saying right now. And she's like, hey, it's the lesson you taught me. You told me to be like the water. Now I understand. If I stayed rigid like stone, today would have shattered me into pieces.
Mm.
That's the exact quote.
Yeah.
And so she tells the Younglings, take advantage of your training on Coruscant. Finish
Yeah.
there, and then maybe you could come meet me as Padawans.
Yeah.
And so that is the end
That is the end
of Volume 2, with Lily staying on Bon Key, ready to kill more Nihil,
Yeah.
and
I'm over here.
Marchion Ro ready to cause more destruction.
I'm over here like, I know this won't happen. I know this won't happen because of how narratives work. Oh god.
But yeah, that's the end of the series.
Yeah.
So far. They did say Volume 3 at the end of Volume
Yeah.
2, but we've gotten no announcement of Volume 3 in the works right now. I assume we won't get it until after Wave 2
Yeah.
is done. Or Phase 2, rather, after Phase 2 is done.
So, I like this a lot. And
I'm glad they dipped their toes into an original manga.
where are you going to rate this? Ever?
Ooh. See, it's tough.
Yeah.
I want to say 7.5 or 8. Maybe even higher, depending on the day.
All right. I think this is the highest one I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna give this one a 9.5.
I can see it. I would not argue a 9.5 for these 2 volumes.
However, it has been emotionally taxing.
That's the reason why I'm rating it lower. I'm like, I don't. This isn't one that you. This is not. I do not.
It's not.
It's not a book I suggest if you just want to sit down and read something casually.
It's not.
It's not a casual read.
It didn't.
I mean, it's a quick read, but it's not a casual
Yeah.
read.
It wasn't as... It's not as bad as going through the events of the Republic Fair.
No, it just
But
reminds you of...
fuck.
Yeah, it just reminds you of all the bad. That's all.
Yeah.
Um,
Because the Republic Fair made me cry.
yeah.
Well, this one didn't. It fucking tried, man.
Yeah. It was going for you. So yeah.
I want Priyanka
Let's go
back.
ahead and talk about what's coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was actually wrong on the card right here. It wouldn't have been that anyways. It would have been something else that came out. But so we are actually skipping next week.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, work stuff comes up. It's life. But we will be back in 2 weeks talking Kenobi.
General Cannoli, whatever will we do?
Yeah, we're going to talk Obi-Wan Kenobi in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we're going to take this next week off. And then the week after, we'll come back, talk about Obi-Wan. And then we'll be right back on track again after that for a week. We might have a guest. Right now, it's up in the air. I'm probably going to contact them again at the end of this week.
All right.
Like the end of this upcoming. I'll contact them next week to see if they'll be ready 2 weeks from now. Give them time to work out some stuff because they got work stuff as well.
Oh man.
Because when they agreed to be on it, they didn't have the work thing.
Yeah.
Now they have the work thing.
Oh man, who knew that being an adult would...
Who knew having a day job would make things hard?
Wasn't even a day job.
Well, for them it's a day
For
job.
them, I suppose.
For you it's a job. But yeah, and so that's the plan at the moment.
Yeah.
Is 2 weeks Kenobi. So next week we're gonna chill out, watch some other podcasts maybe because I know that there's other podcasts that are on Saturdays. Although usually later.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anything to share?
I'm tired.
I tired.
This...
I can't think of anything else that's major right now.
Yeah. Me either.
So thank you guys for watching. If you are watching on youtube.com, be sure to go to youtube.com/Escape Reality Films and like and subscribe. If you're on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/CJ Star Wars 94, you can follow or subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, you'll be able to find the link down below. But for those of you who want to give us a little extra support, we got a Patreon, and you can become a patron at patreon.com/Escape Reality Films. And there you can gain access to the Discord, come hang out with us, talk Star Wars, talk whatever nerd stuff really. Please, we're trying to make it more active, so the more people who join, the more we can talk about whatever. And then I want to thank Gamers and Geeks and Mobcast Network for providing the space. Gamers and Geeks is our local gaming shop. They're actually doing they're actually having a convention right now.
We almost got stopped on the way in.
Yeah, thankfully JD was there to be like, no, they're cool, let them in, because it's the first time they're doing one where you have to actually pay to get in.
I almost walked right by them. I didn't care.
I mean, I would have explained.
Yeah.
But I would have explained anyways. But JD was there to make sure.
Just make it official.
Yeah. So we got in. But it's a 2-day con, I think. So today and tomorrow. So if you're in the Mobile, Alabama area and you got $5 and you want to just get in and enjoy the day and see some. I think they've got some voice actors here from shows from anime, and they've got some. They've got a cosplay contest that's free to enter going on. So if you want to do all that, they've got that. And then I'm trying to think what else. Of course, like usual, they've got the arcade, $10 a day.
Yep.
And then, of course, Engage Gaming right next
Yeah,
door.
there we go. That's what they're called.
Engage. Oh, did you forget?
I forgot what they were called. I thought they were called Rent a Console.
Nah, it's Engage Gaming. They let you
They-
that you pay a monthly fee as a member. You get to play on whatever consoles they have. They have like they have them all throughout the area,
Yeah.
throughout the store. You just sit down at whichever console you want to use. They even have games that you can borrow and play. So if you don't have the game you want to play, they've got it probably. There's PC, console, VR. Always like to bring up the VR. And then, of course, going back to Mopcast Network, they're the other network, podcasting network that uses this space, and they're the ones that actually own it, and they
Yeah.
provide it for us. YouTube.com/Mopcast Network. There you can watch Cult Movie Cantina, which this week we're going to be talking about the one of your buddy's films.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about one of John Carpenter's films. It's one of his remakes, Village of the Damned.
Mm.
And so your buddy Johnny over there.
Not getting me this week, fucker.
He hasn't gotten you in a while.
Yeah, I think it's the Death Trooper. That's immediately in front of it.
Oh yeah, and the Death Trooper doesn't really bother you.
Yeah.
Like he's there, but like it's not the same as seeing Johnny.
Yeah. It's like, all right.
And so we're gonna talk about that this week. And then, of course, there's also My Star Wars Life, which is currently replaced with Obi-Wan Days, where we're talking about the Obi-Wan show. We're we're going to be doing 2 episodes because since I was out of town, I don't know if we got to catch up. And there's just so much to talk about in the past 2 episodes that 1 episode is not enough to talk about it.
All right.
It's going to be interesting for our show talking about all 6.
Oh yeah, because we binge them and then we review the whole.
So that one's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then. Oh yeah, Tuesdays with Scotty currently on hiatus, but we're gonna be coming back with that soon. And so I think that's everything.
Yeah.
So once again,
that's everything on the checklist.
Yeah.
So,
Once again, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks for Obi-Wan Kenobi. I have spoken.
Don't you need to go and give the thing?
I do.
So yeah, he has spoken, and I, of course, the same as every week, am not even going to bother with something clever to say before we leave.